Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And I want to thank you guys so much for the great amount of support this season through the 82 game season of the New York Knicks in the 2022 to 23 season. Obviously, we made it to the playoffs. It was a historical season for the New York Knicks as it was our first time going to the second round of the NBA playoffs since 2013. And a lot has changed when it's come to that roster in 2013. Obviously, beating the Boston Celtics in the first round of the NBA playoffs, losing to the Indiana Pacers in the second round, but they definitely put up a big time fight, the Indiana Pacers versus the Miami Heat. So when you take a look back at it, that was a tough Pacers team to beat. But when you take a look at that New York Knicks roster of Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, Tyson Chandler, Chris Copeland, Raymond Felton, J.R. Smith, and even more, Steve Novak, that was a fantastic team to watch. But it was a while, it's 2023 and that was 2013, the last time we made it to the second round of the playoffs. So it definitely was an awesome year, even though you probably wanted more. But just thank you guys. This channel would not be possible without you guys. I upload the content, but you guys are the ones that view the content and make this channel possible. And I'm telling you right now, if my dad was still around, this channel would be a lot different. I would be making videos with him, and it would just be so much fun. It is still so much fun, but if it wasn't for him, I would not be a New York Knicks fan. I'm a very unorthodox New York Knicks fan. I'm not someone that's from New York. My dad is from New York, but I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. A few moving jobs going on when I was younger, but thanks to my dad, I am a Knicks fan, and this channel is possible because of him. And just I have so much passion for this team. I just remember being very young and just always looking up the history of the New York Knicks, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley. I didn't see those days. I didn't see Bernard King, but I'm very passionate about this team, and there's a lot to be proud of this year. And I'm not saying in a couple of years we're going to be holding up a Larry O'Brien trophy, but this is a much improved basketball team. And I understand Knicks fans that say we were the better team and we should have beaten Miami, but I don't look at it that way. I know I'm saying I understand because everyone has a different point of view, but it doesn't matter how the Heat made it to the second round of the playoffs, they made it there. With Giannis being injured a couple games, him not being injured, the Miami Heat were able to capitalize and execute. They had some injuries along the way in the regular season. Some guys weren't conditioned. There's a lot that goes into the regular season. They were still able to make it in this position. They're a battle-tested basketball group, and it comes down to more than just the personnel. It comes down to making adjustments. It comes down to the head coaching position. Eric Spoelstra is one hell of a coach. He gets the most out of his players, and it's maybe not the total of threes, but it's the timely threes. And who else can help out a Jimmy Butler? And Bam Adebayo rise to the occasion, while Jalen Brunson didn't get that help at Game 6 as RJ was 1 for 10. Julius Randle was really inefficient out there. But I say we should be proud of this group because we didn't get embarrassed in an elimination game like the Phoenix Suns, for example, or the Philadelphia 76ers. The New York Knicks at least put up a fight versus the Miami Heat, and we won our first round matchup up against the team that's led by Donovan Mitchell, the guy we were supposed to get, remember? And since acquiring Josh Hart, during the season, that really flipped a switch when it came to toughness. Someone who's dependable, someone that's very good at cutting and moving without the basketball, kind of brought a little bit of a dynamic to the offense. He's not a crazy shot creator, but he does the little things such as movement to help out the offense and help out the second unit. And Josh Hart definitely brought to the table with his scrappiness defensively, passing the ball and knocking out the three ball. We obviously saw the inconsistencies in the playoffs because he's been up and down when it comes to his NBA career shooting the three ball. But if it wasn't for Josh Hart game 1 in Cleveland, who knows how the playoffs would have turned out? Maybe this doesn't even go to the second round, because remember when we were up throughout that game, we hit a wall when RJ Barrett turns the ball over, they go on a run. Remember the tip in, they end up having a 1-point lead, and Josh Hart hurts his ankle. On a hurt ankle, he hits a big time three. Obviously Brunson was awesome down the stretch, but Josh Hart just making that three on a hurt ankle just speaks volume of how gritty and tough this basketball team is. And this team was tough and gritty throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs. Everyone's saying mid-3 and all that. This team is really nothing, but the New York Knicks surpassed a lot of teams' expectations. This is a totally different team from 2013, because obviously when you have a Carmelo Anthony on the team, when you go on a trade for a Carmelo Anthony a couple years before, you're expecting big things, while Brunson, some people thought we overpaid. We knew he was a solid player. He showed himself in the playoffs, having a 40-point game, and just throughout that entire Utah Jazz series and what he was able to do even when Luka Doncic came back. He showed he was a solid player, but now with the ball in his hands, a bigger opportunity, he has shown himself that he is worth every penny, and he's underpaid at this point. This dude is poised. He is built for the big moment. He could score the basketball. He has the ability to pass the basketball. I do think he needs to work on playmaking in certain situations. but his bag is elite, and I think he's an inspirational player to kids or just younger Knicks fans, any type of Knicks fans, because he's not crazy tall. He's 6'1", 6 foot, you could say, and his game isn't based off of crazy athleticism. It's based off of moves that you can learn. The hesitations, the footwork is off the charts. He's a 6'1" guard who is unorthodox. He could post you up. He's pretty strong. He hits the weight room, but his up and unders, his hesitations, his crossover, the step back in his game, and he's shown that he can play off the ball and shooting, catch and shoot situations as well. Again, he's not crazy athletic, but he could score from all three levels. He's dependable. He is mentally tough. He's a competitor. He's a dog, but he's also humble at the same time, and he doesn't over-celebrate. But being a three-level scorer like this, averaging 24 points per game, 6 assists, shooting 41% from three, shooting damn near 50% from the field, getting to the free throw line, just not being afraid of the big moment, taking every loss. He could have 40 points in a game and they lose. He says he has to be better. And when it came to game 5, when he had a 38.9 on 48 minutes, 1 day of rest, 48 minutes, ends up with 41 points, and it sucked that he had the turnover. That kind of sealed the game because obviously Gabe Vince with the elbow got us back into it. Brunson, couple free throws, got a stop on Jimmy Butler, 2-point game. Or obviously Brunson 2 free throws because it was a flagrant 2, found Josh Hart cutting, 2-point game. We get a stop on Jimmy Butler and we have a chance to execute and tried fitting into a tight window. You could say he should have made the read to Josh Hart, but it just stinks. He had 14 made field goals. The rest of the team, 13 made field goals. That's the definition of putting the team on his freaking back. 14 to 22 from the field. It just sucks. It had to end with the guy that brought us there. Julius Randle, I really appreciate what he did in the regular season, and I'm giving props to Randle. Knicks fans, I think you guys are corny that you freaking just ripped off that sign and stomped on it. At the end of the day, we love basketball, but it is just basketball. It's a privilege to be able to watch the sport and for them to be able to play the sport. For you to stomp on it, he's a human being. There's a human being element to the game as well, and I just think that's unacceptable and disgusting. But don't get me wrong, Randle played extremely well. I love how he overcame adversity from the prior season. He averaged 25 points, averaged 10 rebounds, hit tons of threes. I love what he did for the foundation off the court as well when it came to the three-pointers being made. But his basketball IQ, we could talk about the hurt ankle, but at the end of the day, his IQ just hasn't learned. He just hasn't learned. That's what sucks. He doesn't step up in the big moments. RJ didn't step up in the big moment. When it came to game 6, he was 1 for 10 points. He did not play well. He got to the free throw line early. I thought he was going to have a better game. But Randle, our All-NBA player, the All-Star, if you want to be taken seriously, you got to step up when it matters. Hurt ankle doesn't affect the decisions you're making out there on the floor. Yes, it can affect, all right, I shouldn't be attacking here, but if you have a hurt ankle, you should still have the IQ that I shouldn't over dribble here. I should look to distribute the basketball. I shouldn't take the shot here. The shots he takes it makes no sense. It really does make no sense. And if you're saying your ankle isn't bothering you in these post-game press conferences, then play like it. Play like you have a purpose. There's some games it looks like he's not playing with a purpose on the defense side of the basketball. And it's just unacceptable. It's bad. You can't count on him, and it hurts because we wouldn't be in the playoffs without him, but you got to be able to rise to the occasion when you are in the playoffs. You got to be able to make the right reads. You got to be able to knock down your shots, and that just hasn't happened with Randle. He had a good game when it came to game 2 when Jimmy Butler wasn't playing. The big 3 did of Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle. He rise to the occasion and had over 20 in that basketball game. I give him credit there, but we need consistency. If your ankle is good enough in that game, it should be good enough for the next game. Game 1 versus Cleveland had a solid first half. I give him credit there. But then there were some inconsistencies throughout that series until game 5 when we closed it out. I thought he was playing well in that first half, and then he gets injured. That was just unfortunate there. But you need consistency from your guy. We could talk about the talent, but the IQ is just not there. It's not there. The consistent want is not there. When you're in the playoffs, it's no excuses. You give it your all. Brunson's on a hurt ankle. Jimmy Butler's on a hurt ankle. You give it your all. But I really appreciate what Julius Randle brought in the regular season. You're one of the main reasons we're the 5th seed up there with the Brunson. But you just got to be better. You just got to flat out be better in the playoffs. And I think it is time to move on, personally. And I know everyone learns at a different time, but not like he's 22, 23. He's 28 years old. He's getting up there. But it sucks. It really does suck. But again, awesome season. We make the second round of the playoffs. We lose in 6, but we lose to a battle-tested club that can shoot the 3-ball. And even if their 3-ball's not falling, it's still a threat outside on the perimeter. And they were more physical. Bam obviously stepped up. and rise to the occasion in a big game when Jimmy was 7 for 22, got to the free throw line still, and Max Strus hit a timely three. But again, credit to Josh Hart, credit to RJ Barrett. Obviously, it sucks he did not step up in Game 6. I'm going to hold him accountable. 1 for 10, that's atrocious. We needed him to rise to the occasion. Brunson literally carried the whole team. He carried the entire team in Game 6 for it to even be close. And it hurts because we had an opportunity, but it's still a very successful season. But before that, RJ made adjustments and learned as a player since those first 2 games in that Cleveland series. He found ways to score because he's not a crazy athletic player. He's a solid athlete. You got to be able to figure out angles. You got to be able to split the defenders, and he learned. And his 3-ball started to fall more. I'm not going to say it was at a crazy high clip, but it was better compared to before. He didn't have the regular season that we probably wanted from the 3rd overall pick. 4th year, we wanted him to be an all-star. There were still inconsistencies when it came to all areas, and you wanted him to be more of a consistent shooter off the dribble, jump shooter. But he's just not at that stage right now. We need him to consistently finish well at the basket, get to the free throw line, and he did progress in that department, but the jump shot still needs work, still need consistency defensively, ball handling, making the right decisions out there on the basketball floor. But RJ definitely had some good games in that Miami Heat series. It just sucked that he did not step up in Game 6, but you saw the mid-range at times. You saw him drive really strong to the basket, and shout out to RJ Barrett for stepping up. Mitchell Robinson was fantastic in round 1 versus Cleveland. He was a beast on the offensive glass. He was way more physical than Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Second chance opportunities being a lob threat. We know that hook shot isn't there. We don't know if he's ever going to really build this offensive game, but he did a good job protecting the rim. But in the Miami series, they were a lot more physical with him, and he was kind of non-existent. And probably had one good game when he had 13 rebounds, and he still gets his offensive boards. But then there's also times that he has to learn how to protect the basketball, and he comes down with the rebound, he gets stripped. But I just thought the Heat were just way more physical, in my opinion, than Mitchell Robinson in that series. And it comes down to making adjustments and keeping Mitchell Robinson out of his comfort zone. And I thought Eric Spoelstra did a good job with that at times. I thought he did a good job. Quickly, it sucks. 6th man of the year candidate obviously doesn't win it. Credit to Malcolm Brogdon. He's been freaking awesome. Or he's awesome in the regular season. Had some very nice moments in the postseason. Quickly, he wasn't playing well in the playoffs. You give credit to Cleveland. You give credit to the Heat when he was playing out there before he got injured. They were pressing him. They're making him play sped up. He's still a young player in this league. It's only his 3rd year. But you wanted to see more from him to see if he would progress and learn. And his shot wasn't falling. He looked kind of nervous. And when he wasn't double-digit scoring, he did hurt his ankle in that game. But that's a big factor. You're not going to be as successful if Quickly doesn't step up. And a guy like Kyle Lowry stepping up despite them not having Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. Kyle Lowry was very scrappy in that series. Hartenstein, you're never going to get the big-time numbers from Hartenstein, but underrated ass signing. Probably the most underrated signing of the offseason. I know a lot of people are saying this guy was going to shoot threes coming over. I said he doesn't shoot threes, unless it's in non-pressure situations and you're up 1,000,000 points, but we didn't really get that in New York. But this dude's going to fight hard on the glass. When he does have a dunk opportunity, he's going to throw it down hard. He's a scrapper. This dude fights for 50-50 balls. He plays his ass off. And we got that from Hartenstein. You need that type of player on your team, and you got that. Obi, I don't even know what to say. That he'll have games, it's he's knocking down threes. You could say he's not being played throughout his strengths, but then also times it's attack the basket, be stronger. You get the ups, you get the downs. In Game 5, though, when Randle went down, second half, he comes in, 12 points in the second half. Credit to Obi Toppin. That definitely was his highlight of the playoffs. But since then, up and down, inconsistency of minutes. But when we're running, when it came to Game 5, when it was just a total disaster, it looked like we were going to lose that game. We had 14 points in the first quarter. Credit to Obi. He likes to get out and run, and he was that lob threat and brought a different element to our offense and opened it up a lot more. And then Randle obviously started playing better in that second half for sure. But Obi still, we don't know what to think of Obi. He can occasionally knock down a three, but he just doesn't get a lot of minutes. And I think his future is kind of uncertain. Obviously, he's a lob threat. Do think he's improved a little bit defensively. Still not a fantastic defender. I think he has an underrated feel for the game. But Obi, it's just you don't know what to say about him. Quentin Grimes obviously had the shoulder injury in the playoffs, came back. Grimes didn't have a crazy big impact offensively. He hit a couple threes in Game 5, but he looked scared, to be honest. I thought he competed very hard defensively. He had one of my favorite plays of the playoffs, though, when Grimes got hurt during that play down the stretch, and then he came up with the steal on Jimmy Butler. That's a play I'll always remember. He'll forever scrap hard defensively, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm not going to say take your time, because obviously you'll get your shot blocked if you take too much time, but he looks a little too sped up at times, but he's a young player, second-year player, and I would like to see us utilize him cutting, because he's an underrated cutter. He's underrated at moving without the basketball, so I'd like to see that be utilized more in the offense. But Grimes had nice moments defensively, never had a crazy scoring game. Like, we needed more consistency of three-point shooting. I said if we wanted our upside to be at an ultimate high, we needed Grimes to step up, shoot the three ball, and obviously we needed quickly as well. We just didn't get consistent three-point shooting in the playoffs. But for us to get to the second round with inconsistency of shooting the ball, I think is extremely impressive. But what I take away from the season, I understand some people that want Tibbs fired. I think he has this ancient offense, and I think Brunson does cover up a lot of deficiencies in the offense because Brunson's such an elite shot creator. Reality is, we could talk about the deficiencies and how he's this interior-oriented defense, and I don't think we defend the perimeter as much as we should in 2023, the modern NBA, and how I don't think he treats everyone like... Maybe he does hold Randle more accountable than we know. We're not in that locker room, but I do feel he babies Randle, and he doesn't, like, he should bench him in situations he's not playing well. And I'm not even talking about the playoffs, I'm talking about the regular season as well, but Randle is a different personality. Maybe doesn't, like, really handle it as well, but you are also a grown man, and you gotta mature. I'm not trying to get too personal into it, but the reality is, ownership looks at it. It's like Tibbs brought the Knicks to the playoffs, or brought the Knicks to the second round of the playoffs since 2013. No way he's getting fired. I think next year is going to be make or break. Like, will they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, or is it going to be a couple years after that? I think the ownership's going to take a look at, all right, or Leon Rose and everyone's going to take a look at, all right, is this Knicks team stuck in mediocrity? Do we need more upside? Or are we going to move on to Johnny Bryant? I think that's what the Knicks mindset's going to be. Like, let's see if we actually are mediocre. Let's not just kill Tibbs because he just got us to the second round of the playoffs. But I've made a whole video on Tibbs. You know, I'm lukewarm with Tibbs. I like what he brings, and then there's some that I don't like that he brings to the table. But I'm just so pumped up that we have a true leader on this team, especially at the point guard position. The best point guard I've seen outside of Brunson is Raymond Felton. I thought Raymond Felton was solid, but Brunson's unbelievable. He's just an unbelievable basketball player, and you just see when players get given an opportunity, they can flourish. Mikal Bridges, I'm not comparing, obviously Brunson's better, but Mikal Bridges, when you play with the Devin Booker, when you play with these scorers or guys that are ball dominant and need the ball in their hands, like, and you're asked to be in this 3-and-D role, and he's an excellent 3-and-D player when he was with the Suns, it's like you don't get to show your full skill set on a consistent basis. And when you saw him go to the Nets, it's like, damn, this guy could score the heck out of the basketball from all three levels. But Brunson is just ridiculous with the ball in his hands, and how he turned over the ball hurts because he only had like 6 turnovers the entire series. It's crazy for him to have the ball in his hands that much and take care of the basketball. And he knows when to kill from mid-range. He knows when to work downhill, draw free throws. And his footwork is just off the charts. That it's like he's 6'1" with that footwork, and the fadeaways he hits are unbelievable. The shots he's hit down the stretch in games or just build upon momentum is just awesome to see. It is truly awesome to see. And if Randle does come back and we don't trade him, he's going to have to change the style of play, because when you shoot 8 threes per game in the regular season, it's not going to hold up in the playoffs, especially if your efficiency isn't there. If you're shooting 8 threes per game and it's on 33% clip, you better hope that you're on fire in those playoffs, or you're just doomed, because your shot selection is going to have to change. Your shot diet's going to have to change. And I thought it got a little better, but there's still inconsistencies with the shot diet. But we're going to have to add versatility on defense. We need longer wingspans. We need taller players. We need three-point shooting, not guys that shoot us out of games, guys that still have good shot diets. But unbelievable season. Brunson should have been an all-star, should have been all-NBA. Again, credit to Randle on a fantastic season. He bounced back in the regular season. We need more in the playoffs, though, if we move on and get someone else. And we do not hold a draft pick in this upcoming draft, unless we have 20% chance of getting that 11th overall pick and it slips out of Dallas. But we don't have a first-round pick as of right now. We don't have a second-round pick. Obviously, I'm still going to be tracking off-season things that go on. But I thought it was just an awesome season. I thought it was an awesome season. This is more of a rambling video. It's not supposed to be professional or anything like that. And it was more into the playoffs and how these guys impacted, because regular season, we know what went on in the regular season, and obviously we know what went on in the playoffs, but this is current events, pretty much what I was talking about in this video. So let me know down below your thoughts. Peace out, y'all.